coming to talk to you about my homeschool bullet journal. So this is our new journal for fall of 2020 to spring 2021. This is the brand called SEQES. I'm not even going to try to say that, but it is about $20 on Amazon. It has 160 pages. It comes with the dot grid layout. The dots are a little dark on here. It does lay flat pretty well. There are a little spring back on some of the pages. And then when you flip to the back, you have the little pocket in the back as well. The paper is 160 GSM, which is just like Scribbles That Matter, which I used this last year. The difference with this journal and Scribbles That Matter is that this does not have the page numbers in the corner, which for about $6 in savings and being able to get it right away because Scribbles That Matter were out of stock, it was worth it to me to just continue with this one. Scribbles That Matter, my last order had a 158 page journal, and that can vary just by their production. I know in the past I've had a different number from them. So the pages are bright white. I don't know if it's easy to tell against this white table or not, but I wanted to go ahead and show you some of my spreads and how I use it before I start filling in any personal information. So I chose just a plain cover with a constellation on it. I'll notice, if you notice here, wanted to note that there is nothing on the spine. It doesn't say what this journal is or the brand or anything. So that's something to think about too if you like your journals really, really plain. It comes with 2 bookmarks, 2 of the little fabric bookmarks. It also comes with the pen loop attached. This one also came with a pen. I've been using it a little bit. It's a ballpoint pen, but it writes really nicely. So I start out just with our school information for the year, so that way when I look back on these journals, I know what school year it's from. I usually have a grid spacing sheet. This helps me remember how far apart I need to go if I want something to be in the middle, so I'm not always doing the math. I didn't always do this spread, but I saw someone else do it and I decided to add it last year, and I actually refer back to it quite a bit. That way I don't have to count each dot and figure out, okay, how many squares were there vertically, how many squares were there horizontally, and do the math. I can come here and say, okay, there's 25. If I want to do 3 squares today, how many spaces can I put in between them? And it's much faster to do the math that way. I always do a little at a glance page because I like to see far ahead, and sometimes I'll go through and mark important dates on here, but usually I just like to be able to see all at once kind of what our dates are. So if I'm scheduling something or planning something, I can quickly see what days they fall on. I also like to have important dates written down. A lot of times I'll put birthdays in here. I didn't put in any yet just to not have any personal information in here. But I just went ahead and marked just important things that we can put into our future calendars. Then I always do this attendance spread, and I made an oops here. I want to give you permission to make oops. This is an oops right here. So I just go ahead and mark whatever days we do for school. I color it in for each child. And then at the end of the month, I total it down here. Let me shift it into view. I total the month, and then I total the year. So it adds up at the end, telling me how many we have for that semester so I can fill out our online work. Now, our online registration program is through Home Life Academy, and so we report grades and attendance to them. They don't need to know exact dates, but they do need to know how many days you did. So I more so keep this as a record for myself of what we did, and I feel like as many times as we've moved, it's good to have it just written down somewhere what we did in case we had to move somewhere else and needed some kind of record of what we've done. I laid myself out some tentative terms. I will not stick to these, I can tell you that right now, but I wanted to kind of think ahead where we would have breaks, and I tried to include a Sabbath week every 6 weeks or so. It doesn't always work out when you have so many holidays in the fall, but I tried really hard. We also have a tentative trip scheduled for the fall, and we're just kind of waiting and playing it by ear. It is to something very magical, if you can get my drift. And we want to be safe, number one, and we also want to go at a time when it's going to be the full experience as well. So we're kind of waiting and seeing what happens. And right now we still have our plans scheduled, so I planned around them, and they may change. And if so, we would shift the weeks that we do school. This year, I went ahead and adapted the Year 1 Ambleside online book reading because some of these books I have purchased and we have not gotten to yet, and I've really wanted to read them. So I took their spreadsheet and I put in other things that we're doing. We're not following their Bible study. So I'm following a devotional that goes through the Old Testament. And then for history, I'm using a history spine called Curiosity Chronicles, and I'll probably talk more about that. And then you'll see some of the normal Ambleside online books in here. These are books that we've purchased, that we have on hand, that I just haven't gotten to. And Year 1 in Ambleside Online is actually supposed to be ancient history, even though it focuses more on people rather than events. So I figured this would be a great time to get some of these books in that we already own and I had wanted to try. And if we don't get to them all, that's okay too. But at least Ambleside tells me, hey, read this story this week, read this story that week, and I don't have to do that work. Otherwise, for the most part, we just do our next lesson. So when I flip over here, you'll see our tentative individual subjects. So you'll see math. Next to my oldest, he goes through math so fast. He loves his math program, which is Beast Academy. And so I did not write down what exactly he was doing. I just wrote BA for Beast Academy. I've given myself a tentative schedule for my youngest, We did not finish all of his kindergarten curriculum, and the first grade curriculum doesn't last the whole year either. So we may finish his curriculum and we may not, but I've given myself that tentative schedule to at least have something to look back on. And if anything, I can cross this off as we get them done or cross it out if I don't want to do it at all. And I went through and also put in the arrows. Actually, they're darts now. We're doing the dart studies through Brave Writer in here and kind of what we'll be studying for nature and that type of thing as well. I've also put in tentative music study lessons. I put our composer in, but I don't have exactly what we'll be studying for each week yet. And some of that I may play by ear. I don't like to over plan because I don't like to feel behind. But having these spreadsheets really helped me to schedule some of those books that I wanted to get to, but just have not gotten to yet. And if we don't get to them, I don't feel any guilt over that. We can move on and move past them and maybe hit them another time. And if not, oh well. My youngest is technically what would be considered Year 1 for Ambleside. So if we can hit them this year with him, I think they'd be a great foundation to read some of the other works from Ambleside Online's program. But if we don't get them, we don't get them. I'm not too stressed about it. Then we move into, let me double check here. Yeah, so I put all 3 terms in here, even though these may change. I just wanted to have a baseline, and I can always cover it up with a new spreadsheet if I want to adjust or if I want to delete something and decide we're not going to do it anymore. Then we get into the monthly spreads, and for these, I like to have the whole month at a glance ready to go in the front of the planner. This allows me to quickly schedule appointments or events. I can look and see, okay, in August we have dentist appointments on the 13th and the 27th. Well, we can't plan something those mornings, or we can't schedule ourselves too in depth that morning. So it allows me to see it quickly ahead of time. And typically I keep these just in my normal bullet journal for myself. But I found this last year, I didn't put these in my homeschool planner, and I found myself shuffling back and forth all the time. I would rather write appointments twice, once in here and once in my personal planner, than have to keep shuffling and trying to find the other planner when I need it to schedule something. So I have all the months ready to go. They're not perfect. You'll see lots of little mistakes, sometimes where I counted wrong. And I've really tried to embrace that as I move forward because I have that tendency to lead towards perfectionism. So I've got all of those months ready to go. And then you'll see once we get past July, I do include July here in case we need it. There's nothing. I haven't done anything else yet. So I wanted to share quickly some of the other things that we'll add in from my old bullet journal. So typically what I do is I just draw boxes. This looks really involved, but all it is boxes, and I write down what we did. I don't write down what we do, so the Ambleside schedule will give me a schedule to read some of those books that I want to. And for the most part, for our math and our history and our literature, we'll just do the next thing. But I don't always know what that's going to be because plans may change. We may take a Sabbath week and take the week off. We may have a really busy week with trips or field trips or events happening, and we may change things. So I like to write down what we actually did. So you can see this is one of the early weeks where I was like really involved. I wrote down at the top what we had going on, so I would remember if we had to get to an appointment without flipping back. Just the week at a glance though. So I really liked doing that. It was really helpful. That way when we were planning what we were going to do for the day, I could open this up and look at it and say, okay, well, we're probably not going to get to these other things today, instead of flipping back and forth. So I transferred it once for the week and then would start my week by writing down what we've done. So you'll kind of see, for the most part at the beginning, I've got Bible all in the same row, beauty all in the same row, because I had great intentions and wanted to start out that way. And then I would include pictures. I just print these on my Canon selfie printer. I make a little collage and print and cut them. And then you'll see other weeks where we did less. This day we went to Nature Explorers and we had a Lego Homeschool Club. That took all day pretty much. And Elijah did still do some math, but other than that, we didn't do a lot that day. And you can see that we took Thursday off. So it's very flexible in this. We were able to take our Monday holiday and it didn't mess up my spread. I just left it out and put pictures over the top. And then I want to show you like a less involved spread. So here's a week where I didn't put any pictures. I just basically wrote what was happening and what we did. Okay. So you can say we took a day off. This was after a theater show and we were tired, especially my oldest and I, who spent all weekend at theater. And then if I flip back here, you'll see once we went into quarantine, I really got tired of trying to keep up with things when the world was in such a different state. So what we did was we would read, we would move through our things that we wanted to really get done, but we didn't stress about it. So you'll see these last weeks, I just wrote down little things that we did. And I just went through and wrote a journal about things that we accomplished, but I didn't write every little thing that we did because I don't have to have that exact record keeping. It's fine for me, but you may need to keep a more detailed note. So there's times where I just wrote things down. Like here's a week where I wrote down just what we did during quarantine that I would definitely count as school. The other thing that I will add back in, so this was a future log where I just wrote down what I was thinking for this next year. I kind of wanted to have ideas of things that I wanted to research more or things that I'd already decided on. So that's in my planner as well. And then I started making a book log for my oldest. I probably need like 10 pages for him because he is an avid reader. So he has read much more than this. We did have a problem with our little printer and I had to get a new one. So I need to reprint some of his because they didn't print correctly, and then we'll finish adding his in. I have 4 pages for him and I don't know that that will be enough, but I just took a screenshot of the actual book itself and made a collage and then printed those out. It gives a visual of what we've read for the year, and I really think it's fun. So I do want to go back and finish it. I also did some audiobooks for ourselves, and again, I need to finish printing them out. I've actually already made the collages. I just need to print them now that our printer is fixed. And then I had kind of our history family read alouds here as well. So that's something I will continue to do. And then I also put in here our Wild Explorers Club badges that we completed. These are a sticker sheet that comes along with it. And so I stuck them in as we completed them, but I kind of fell behind on that. So I need to pull out my stickers. I think they're back here. I think my kiddos have a timer going off in the background if you hear that. But I need to pull these out and add the ones that we have finished. We have finished 3 badges. So we took a little time off because of quarantine and not being able to do some of the activities. So we will continue with this program into the next year. And we have extra stickers. I may put in the stickers again into the other notebook just to have them all there because they're so cute. Otherwise, I may just do the ones that we complete this next school year as well. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for someone. It's a very loose style of planning. This was the Scribbles That Matter journal. I really do enjoy these. And you can see that I kept some of the same spreads. This does come with an index at the beginning, the Scribbles That Matter. But here are the attendance sheets for my kiddos for this year that are all. Sorry about that. I cut myself off because I had things exposed that didn't need to be on the internet. It's like logins. So I did write at the beginning of the year what curriculum we were planning on using, and I'll tell you we didn't even use the Around the World with picture books curriculum because it was too much. We had enough to do. So, but it gave me a kind of like foresight, like what's coming, what are we planning on doing, what's in the plan. And then I also gave myself a term one routine. I don't know that I'll do this next year. I may. Things will look different with activities and co-ops and things. The things that we're doing are with people that we know and trust, and we'll kind of see how things look in the fall. But I wrote down anytime that we did an activity or we went somewhere to do something with other people. So I also wrote down field trips that we took, and I may do this on its own spread in my new bullet journal, but I may just do it within the weeks and maybe signify them somehow, maybe color them a certain color, that kind of thing. So I do think it is valuable to kind of think about these things ahead of time, and maybe you don't write them on paper or maybe you do, but it's just something to think about. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, seeing my old journal and kind of where I'm going with the new journal. Bullet journaling does not have to be artsy. There are lots of artsy bullet journals out there. I am someone who likes to be creative, but I'm not actually like great at art, but I do find it therapeutic to do art. So a lot of times I will doodle, I'll draw boxes, things that are easy like that, even doing some little watercolors, paint splatters, that kind of thing in my journals just to make it feel more artsy to me. But if you just want to use pencil and paper, you're more than welcome to do that. You know, do it works for your family. This is not a, this is the way you should do it kind of video, but I just wanted to share what works for me. You can do a bullet journal in a like spiral notebook with regular paper. So feel free to take what works from these things into your own and use tools that you have available, like I did with the Ambleside schedule, and made that kind of help guide me for the year, but just also encourage you to not feel like you are tied to your plans. That's the beauty of planning in behind, is that we get to write down what we did and there's no guilt over what we didn't do. So if you are someone that struggles with that, this is a great way to plan from behind using one of these types of journals or just a notebook to write down what you did. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I'm happy to help. I would recommend this new journal from SEQES. If you are more interested in numbered pages, the Scribbles That Matter journal has those numbered pages. They have kind of that same texture. This is the pro version of Scribbles That Matter. They have kind of that same soft bound, almost squishy feel to the hardbound covers. The Archer and Olive that I used for my main planner, it is not this squishy material. And I will say in that planner, I also do miss having the page numbers. So I may flip next year back to a Scribbles That Matter or another journal that has the page numbers for me. Sometimes I tear them out if it's really, really bad, if I've really, really messed up. But for the most part, I like having the page numbers there. So just to refer back to and maybe make myself indexes once we get done. So if that's something that's important to you, think about that as well. They come in a variety of colors and options, and they're pretty durable. They both have this little band that goes over the top. They both have pen loops like I showed earlier, and the two bands that help you get to where you want to be in your journal quickly and efficiently. I do like that this one is so plain. It's kind of nice to not have advertisements all over it, but I can tell you, I can't say that name. SEQUES, see, I'm trying right here and I don't even know. But if somebody asks me, I don't even have like anything to show them. There's nothing on here that tells them the brand. So that's something to think about as well, if that's important to you. Anyway, that's lots of talking. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. Have a great day.